All right, we're looking at the table of contents in our Hebrew Bible, which turns out to be not right at the beginning of it, but right before Genesis 1. All kinds of stuff before this. And, our English Bible is based on the order of the Septuagint, which is different from this. There are three sections of Hebrew Bible: the law, the prophets, and the writings. And Jesus talks about those sections. Of course, the law is the first 5 books. And you can see them there. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. And then you can look at the books that are all part of the prophets, and the historical books are part of that section. The writings begin over with Psalms, and the Psalms being the first book of that section, Jesus talks about the law, the prophets, and the Psalms. Why does he say Psalms? Because it was usual to use the very first of a series to refer to the whole series, right? So the first book being the Psalms, he could refer to the whole section by saying Psalms. Notice that the book of Daniel, interestingly, is in the writings section and not the prophets section. And notice also that the book of Ruth is in that same section. So there's a different order of the books. Where we have 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st and 2nd Kings, those are just one book in Hebrew Bible. And Chronicles is way at the end, you'll see. So differences in organization. Same stuff though, same material. It comes in a different order, but it's the same stuff as our English Bible. Not the same stuff if you have a Catholic Bible though. Yes?
Does that mean that Chronicles is considered of a different quality of writing than, say, Daniel and Kings? Because they're basically all historical. So why would they categorize them differently?
So I don't have a real good answer to that. I mean, some of the historical books are with the writings. Ruth being one of them. Now, Ruth isn't a major historical book, but Ruth, Esther, Ezra. So Ruth's on page 1320. We're going to be looking at Ruth in the future. Seems pretty exciting, doesn't it? If you look at the beginning of Ruth, can you read any of it? Vayahi, you know what that means?
In the beginning?
No, it's Bereshit. Huh?
There was.
Well, close. And it, well, it literally means, and it was. But here, and it came about, right?
Like judge.
Yeah, there you go. Well, Hashoftim. What do you think Hashoftim means? The judges. Very good. You can see the masculine plural. You can see the article there, right? You see all of that? See, look at this, huh? You think we can't do this? Huh? Man, we're all that in a bag of chips already. All right. Now, if you think Ha-Shoftim is judges, what do you think Shafot is? Okay, so it's a verbal form, right? Now look at May. Any idea what that would be? No?
Yeah, something like
Now you're thinking of Hifil because it has a Hirik Yod, maybe, but that's after the second root letter, so that can't work here. It's a little bit deceptive. Let me tell you that the bait is a preposition.
is a preposition in place of like an article.
No, it's a preposition.
Is it day?
Ha ha! There you go. Hang on to her. Okay, what's the Sere Yod at the end of that? That's right. We got a construct chain happening here. Hang on to her too. And it's plural, masculine. Well, maybe you guys should just both stay together. All right. So all right. So how you can translate that? Okay, something like, and it came about in the days of the judging of the judges.
He said.
And it came about and there was Ra'av
in the land.
Okay, in the land, there you go. Gonna have to look anything up? Okay, page 944 in BDB.
Yeah, it's kind of 944.
I believe he just locked himself in the kitchen. That's never happened to me before teaching a Hebrew class. So Ra'av is what? All right. So there was a famine in the land, and this is one of your vocabulary words for tonight. Weak verb. What happens to weak consonants? Yep. Halak. Can you see there? To walk, to go. Ish.
There are. There.
Ish. Yep. So, and a man went. Now, what's the maim, do you think? He's going to go.
Whose house?
Maim. Min. From Beit Lachem. Beit Lachem. Huh? Beit Lachem. Bethlehem. Right? That's Beit is the construct form of Bayit, so literally house of bread. He went from house of bread, Bethlehem. He went from Bethlehem, Yehuda. Don't hurt me now. Judah. Okay, very good. All right. Okay, page 157 in BDB. Pardon?
Well, the wall is boundary.
Lagur.
See, I can't tell that. I can't tell a long from a ration.
Yeah. You see that word lagur? Page 157 in BDB. Okay, to sojourn. Now let me tell you a little hint. You don't have to know this now, but someday you will. But I'll just tell you ahead of time so you can forget this right away. When you have a verb with a prepositional prefix, it's an infinitive construct. So you know right away that's an infinitive construct.
Say again.
So we're looking at a cal infinitive construct. In fact, you can see it if you look in all those forms right there, almost to the end, getting down toward that one where it says sojourn. You see infinitive construct. It gives our form gor right there. And in fact, remember, this would be a biconsonantal verb, so the vocabulary form is the infinitive construct form. Right? You with me? You're not with me?
How far down?
Well, see number one under gur. It says, under gur it says verb sojourn. You look straight down from that, you get a 1. It says sojourn, dwell for a time. Okay. From the 1, go all the way to the end of that line. Okay. Then go up 1, 2, 3 lines, and you see GN for Genesis. Just to the left of that, you see our form gur, and you see infinitive construct. So infinitive construct gur, right?
I made it a little bigger.
I know it's small. That's the same as the vocabulary form, right? Because on this kind of a verb that only has 2 consonants, the vocabulary form is the infinitive construct form. So notice what the cal perfect form is. Up there where it says cal perfect, the cal perfect form is gar. See that right there? So here, the cal perfect form is not the vocabulary form. See that? Normally it is, but not with verbs that are made out of 2 consonants. Hollow verb. All right. So he went sojourn. What? We know this word. In the land fields of Moab.
Utah.
Okay, he went to Utah. Moab, that's right. There's a Moab, Utah. Okay. Okay. He Va'ishto. Huh? Yeah, Va'ishto. What's the O? 3ms suffix. He and his wife. See, you're supposed to know that word right there. You don't have to know that word right now. Okay? He and his wife and Shnei Banaiv. You should know those. Shnei. Okay, we have an A ending, right? Sarah Yod. What are you thinking? Sarah Yod. Masculine plural construct. Okay. So, huh? So, okay, what would it be if it were not construct? Shanayim?
Two.
2. Very good. Okay, right? Huh? Okay, he and his wife and Baniv. Vav, what's the Vav on the end of it? Get used to this. You've already seen the Vav on the end of Ishto. The Vav on the end of a word is probably going to be 3ms, pronominal suffix. So, you understand what I'm saying? It's normally O, but it's different here, right? So, it's going to be his 2 something. Sons. Okay? And why is it spelled this way? Because it's plural. Sons. Okay? Got it? So that's the beginning of Ruth. But that's not where we're going to look today. That was just for free. Think you can translate the book of Ruth?
Maybe 2 words in the book.
Well, you knew a lot of those words, right? You could look them up.
Yeah.
Stick with Sherry.
I'm going to.
Why isn't the East?
In fact, you probably all ought to either get Sherry or Kim's number. And
Mine.
yeah.
Hey, why isn't Ishto good one?
Well, it isn't Tov with a
What's Ishto?
Ishto with a Tav, not a Tate.
These letters, I need a binocular.
She was a good wife, however, or she wouldn't have gone. Okay, now let's go back to Genesis. But not Genesis 1 anymore. We're going to be done with Genesis 1. Tonight we're going to look at what might be one of the most exciting passages in the whole Bible. Genesis chapter 2. And not only are we going to look at one of the most exciting passages of the Bible, we're going to look at it in its inspired version, the original language. Right? I hate to do this to you so late at night because you're probably not going to be able to sleep when you get home. As exciting as this is going to be. But we'll risk it anyway. Anybody have to get up early in the morning? Sorry. Okay. 5 a.m. Wow.
Tuesday's auction day. That'd be important.
Is that right? Man, remind me not to go to that auction very much. Okay, chapter 2, verse 18. Chapter 2, verse 18. What's it start with? Yes, it does. And what's the word? Close. This is a word that you're going to see a million times. Remember Amar that we had in our vocabulary? Wasn't Amar the one that we used like 5,000 times or something like that? All right? And probably 4,500 of them are going to be this form right here. Well, I'm teasing, not that many, but you're going to see this over and over. Vayomer. Vayomer. Verse 18. Chapter 2, verse 18. Vayomer. All right? So, Vayomer Adonai Elohim. Now, what's the second word? The second word is the name Yahweh, isn't it? But remember, when we're reading Hebrew, we don't pronounce Yahweh. We pronounce it with the word for Lord, which is Adonai. Notice the vowel points under it are not pronounceable. So that makes the word impronounceable, right? I mean, you can't pronounce it according to the vowel points under these letters. And that's there for a reason. It's to remind you that you're not supposed to pronounce it. Right? So a Jewish person would never pronounce that word. They would say, probably, Adonai. So that's how we'll do it. That way you can read Hebrew in front of a Jewish person and not be struck or something like that. Vayomer Adonai Elohim Lo Tov Hayot Ha'adam La Vado Eshe Lo Azer actually Kenegdo. Okay? Vayomer means what? And he said. Very good. Now you can see Amar. What's the yod doing there? The yod is what you get on imperfect aspect, imperfect tense. You get things like yods and tavs and olives and noons on the front of stems in the imperfect tense. And then you have a reversing vav right there. The reversing vav makes it certainly past tense. So, and he said, who said? Okay, so Yahweh Elohim,
Lord God.
Yahweh God. I'm translating, I can say Yahweh. Now, I wouldn't, if I were in front of a bunch of Jewish people, I wouldn't translate it that way. I would say the Lord God. Oh, yeah. I would say the Lord God. All right? But in our context, we can say, and Yahweh God said, Lo, that's one of our vocabulary words. No or not. Tov. Not good. And we have to supply the verb of being. It is not good. Hayot, now that's a form of Haya, which we had. Ha'adam, it is not good for the man to be, and that's Hayot, to be, right? It is not good for the man to be, it's infinitive. Lavado. The lamed is a preposition, to, and the o is what? The end, the vav, the whole vav. 3ms, prepositional suffix, right? We got to drill that into our brain. Okay. All right, and the vad part means alone, right? So it is not good for the man to be toward his aloneness, literally. Either that may well just be kind of an idiomatic way of saying it in Hebrew, but it also might indicate that what he's saying is it is not good for the man to be, toward his aloneness. It is not good for the man to keep on being alone. It wasn't bad for the man, at that point, but it might not be so good, or it isn't good for the man to continue in that state, So there's almost a sense of movement toward, so that may be the way you look at that. All right? It's not good for the man to be alone. Eshe, now that's one of our vocabulary words too, isn't it? Right? For today? To do or make. That's right. Remember I said on the perfect tense, you get these letters stuck on the beginning of them. One of those letters is aleph. When you have an aleph, you have a first common singular. Right? So what is this? First person, common gender, could be either masculine or feminine. First person, common singular. Huh? So what? That's right. It's an I, and then because it's imperfect, I will what? Make. I will make. Lo. Now, this is not the lo, lamed, aleph, because that means no or not. This is the lo, lamed, holem vav. What's the holem vav? Don't kill me now. It's the 3ms prepositional suffix. Connected to a preposition. Right. Okay. I will make for him. Okay. Azer Kenegdo. Now, in the kenegdo, what's the holam vav at the end? 3ms pronominal suffix. Him or his or something like that, right? I will make for him.
Like or as. So, in his verb.
Okay, let's look it up in BDB. Okay, so let's look up ayin, zayin, resh. Let us know when anybody gets to the page number it's on. Ayin, zayin, resh. $740. See it? What's it mean? Okay, a help. I will make for him a help. Now, let's look up kenegdo. Okay, so we're going to. Now, you might think that kaf on there is a prepositional prefix, so you might start looking it up with the second letter. But let's try first looking it up under the kaf. Yod, Kaf, Lamed. Huh? All right. Now let's start by looking now under the second letter. Neged. All right, well, the root is nagad, to be conspicuous. Then you can have neged, what is conspicuous, but I'm having a little feeling that it's not taking us where we want to go.
Right, number 2 on page 617.
Yep, there you go. That's it right there. Okay, 617, number 2. See it? With prepositions. Okay. Ka-neged. According to what is in front of, or corresponding to. Now, it actually gives us our verse here, right? And it gives us our two words together. So now it's telling me what those two words together mean. A help corresponding to him. So God's going to make Adam a help corresponding to him. Not exactly like him, but different, but corresponding to, right? The concepts of male and female that we already read about in chapter 1 of the book of Genesis. All right. Now we're going to see this again. I'm reading here, verse 20. Among the animals, there was no help corresponding to him. Okay. Well, what do some of the translations say? A helper suitable, right? But that's really corresponding, right? All right. So that's the end of verse 18. Verse 19. Vayitzer Adonai Elohim min ha'adamah kol hayat hasadeh va'et kol oth hashemayim vayave el ha'adam lirot ma yikra lo vakol asher yikra lo ha'adam nefesh haya hu shemo. Well, you probably picked up enough of that. We don't really need to go back and translate it, huh? But let's do it anyway. Okay. Vayitzer. Well, you need to look that one up? Okay, what do you think that's going to be? No, I don't think so. Huh?
Oh, just.
Well, it's not one of our vocabulary words. Okay, what are you going to look up first? Okay, let's try Yatsar. Now, when you see that yod on there, you don't know what's going to happen because that yod. Why is there a dogish in the yod, by the way? Well, it turns out that the word starts with yod, and that yod is a prefix you get in the third masculine singular of the imperfect form, right? Vayomer, Amar, Vayomer, the yod right there in the 3ms. Same yod here, right? So when you see that yod there, that could have been a lot of things theoretically, but it turns out the word actually starts with yod, and we find it Yatsar on page 427. And it means to form or fashion. Now we had bara. In the beginning, God created. That's creation out of nothing, right? This is to form or fashion. This could be creating something out of something, right? To form something into something else. Right? So, verse 19, and Yahweh God fashioned min ha'adamah. Oh, careful. From the ground. This is feminine here, isn't it? Remember, adamah, feminine, means ground, right? Not accidentally either. Those two words are related, right? All right. So, God fashioned from the ground kol.
All each or every.
Okay. All hayat. Well, I'm saying that wrong. It's hayat. And remember, chai is a living thing. So every living thing, and that's a construct, that's why you have the tav there, right? Every living thing of ha-sadeh, of the field, every living thing of the field, va'et, and, direct object marker, and kol oaf. Remember oaf from chapter 1? Every bird. Okay. Every bird of Hashemayim. That's construct 2, but masculine construct form is blank, right? Every bird of the heavens. Okay. And he vayabe. We haven't had this one yet, but we've seen it in our chapter. No, it's bo. It's a hollow verb, and it means to go. But here, this is in a causative stem, and I believe it's a hifil that we have here. So a hifil from bo, So, and he caused to come El Ha'adam, okay, to the man, or he brought to the man, right? He brought to the man Lirot. So let's go back and and Yahweh God formed from the ground all of the living things of the field and every bird of the heavens, and he brought them to the man. I mean, you don't get the them, but you're gonna have to supply them right there. He brought them to the man, or to Adam. Lirot. What do you think that is? That's one of the words we've had, by the way. Ra'ah. To see. We had that, didn't we?
Today.
Okay. Oh yeah, it would have to be today because that's a verb. Okay, now it's a verb with a lamed on it, the preposition. So what is it? What kind of verb? It's infinitive construct. That's right. So Lirot. Okay, so he brought them to the man to see ma. What? Remember? Who is he and he is she and ma is what? Right? To see what? Yikra. Kara. Do we have that one today? No. We have seen it though in chapter 1. And God called the night, the darkness, night. So to see what he will. The yod part. The word is kara. The yod is that 3ms prefix that you get in the imperfect, right? To see what he will call lo.
To me?
Well,
To him.
to it, each one. He brought each one to the man to see what he would call it. And all, kol, right? And all, asher, who or which, all which, yikra, he called, he will, all which he would call to it, and it's a little clumsy in English, and whatever, you might say, whatever he called it, the man's doing the calling, whatever the man or Adam called it, each living being, nephesh, you're going to have to add some words in English, right? Called it a living being, nephesh. That's a word for soul, isn't it? Soul or life. But here the animals are called nephesh. Hebrew Bible, animals have soul. They don't have spirit. But then again, that's theology, so we don't need to go into that. But nephesh, okay, whatever he called a living thing. Haya, that's a vocabulary word. All right, and here it's a cal, perfect, 3ms, right? So it was who? Huh? Yeah, it was its name, basically. Who? Yeah, that was its name. So the gist is whatever Adam called each living being was its name. All right, 20. Vayikra ha-Adam Shemot. Remember, you got to turn it the other way, right? The other white meat, the other way. Lakol ha-Behema Ulaof ha-Shemayim Ulakol hayat Chayat, Hasadeh, Ula Adam, Lo, Matzah, Ezer, Konegdo. You already know where the story is going, don't you? All right? And Adam, okay, Vayikra, now that's our reversing vav again. That's just like Vayomer, isn't it? You getting the pattern here, right? So Vayomer is, and he said, what is Vayikra? Vayikra. Kara. Right, and he called. And Adam called Shemot. Vocabulary word. Shemot. Shame. Shemot. Names. Right? Feminine plural. Right? All right. And Adam called names. He was calling everybody names. Adam called names. Lakol. To all the beasts. And Laof. All right, and to the birds, well, to every beast and bird of the heavens, and to Lakol, every chayat, living thing, and the tav there is a construct, right? That's feminine. To all the living things, that would be our feminine. Well, I'm sorry, it's feminine singular. Right? That's the feminine singular construct. So, to every living thing, ha-sadeh, of the field. So that tav there is a singular feminine construct form on that word, chayat. Okay? So he called names to every beast and to every bird of the heavens and to every living thing of the field. And for Adam, there was not matzah. You ever heard of matzah crackers? No, that's a different deal. Matzah means to find. And there's a great story behind that because they hide the matzah in the Seder service and they have to find it. Yes?
I was thinking that what was that again?
And la, for Adam. 2 or 4. The lamed is prepositional prefix, 2 or 4. So, and for Adam.
So that Bob is a name.
Yeah. There was not found, right, a help corresponding to him. So, evidently, one of the reasons why God marched all the animals in front of Adam was why? Now, God says it's not good for Adam to remain alone. Right? Now, Adam could not possibly have had any concept of anything but his aloneness. All right? But how does God get Adam to have a sense of his lack? He marches all the animals before him. And he names them. And what does he notice? There's male and female of each one. But if all the animals go by and Adam sees nothing corresponding to him. Not even the apes, Carl. All right. Vayapeo Adonai Elohim Tardema Al Ha'adam Vayashan Vayakak or Vayakak, I think that's how you say it. Achat Mitz Laotaiv Vayis Gor Bashar Tachat Tena. Boy, I have a hard time seeing this small print. Tachat. Can you tell that's a noon, isn't it? Tena. Okay, good. All right. The first word. Now, already, this reminds me of Vayomer, right? I have my reversing Vav and my Yod for my 3MS. But the strange thing is I only have 2 consonants here. What is going on? Okay? I can try to look up Yod, Pei, Lamed. Not going to get anywhere. Because the Yod is part of the prefix. Right?
Weak consonant that dropped out.
You got a weak consonant that dropped out. And, well, let's try looking under noon. Noon is often the culprit. By the way, in the nifal, right? The nifal, that's a weak letter then at the beginning of that word, right? So a lot of times the noon on a nifal will drop out. That's going to be all right. All right. Now let's take a look at what we're looking for here. We're looking for a noon pay lamed, right?
658.
What?
658.
658. Okay. Okay. 56. Nafal. Okay. To fall. Okay. Well, that's interesting. I wonder if that's our form. I know ahead of time that it is, but we're thinking through this, right? I wonder if that's our form. How are we going to find out if that's our form? Well, it doesn't make sense in the context, but if I can find my form here in BDB, I'm good to go, right? So I'm looking at that, and I'm saying that does not have the vowel points of a cow. Doesn't have the vowel points of a cow. In fact, I've got an A-class vowel. I've got an A-class vowel under the yod that prefixes it. When I have an A-class vowel and I have that patak under the yod that prefixes it, that kind of a vowel pointing is telling me, check the hifil. Because that's the pattern in the imperfect, that's a pattern for a hifil, right? So if you look at the bottom of page 657 in the right-hand column, you see where the hifil starts. I already know it's going to be an imperfect form with the vav reversing vav on it. Do I find my form here? In fact, I find vaya peo and actually my verse there. So, man, now when I find my verse by it, that I'm certain now, right? Can you see it? That's at the very last line of page 657. Okay? So, now I know I have a hifil. Now, if nafal means to fall, what does a hifil stem in that word probably mean? Well, to cause the fall. But remember, I need to look that up and make sure. And it does. It means to cause the fall. All right. See where we're going with this? Remember, the hifil was that causative active stem. Right? So, the subject is going to be Yahweh God. So, Yahweh God caused to fall. All right. A tardema. Or can I just tell you that tardema is a deep sleep? Okay. All right. We won't bother looking that up. So, and the Lord God, if you want to translate it that way, caused to fall a deep sleep all ha'adam. Upon. Remember, all is on or upon the man. And Vayishan. All right, so that's going to be Yashan, right? There's another verb. Now again, you getting used to the same form. You're going to see this form an awful lot. It's a reversing vav with a imperfect form, 3ms, with a vav and a yod, and then the word, right? Going to see that over and over and over and over. So I'm already used to that. You're not even there yet, and you're already used to that, right? So I'm going to try to look up what? Yod, Sheen, Nu. So let's do that. So what does it mean? Page 445.
Sleep.
All right. And he slept. Now, see the ought knock under there? The accent on that word is an ought knock. Do you see it? The caret pointing up, right under the sheen. What does that tell you?
Natural break.
There's a natural break, right? So it's something like if there were a comma there, right? So, caused a deep sleep to fall upon the man, and he slept. Now, after the break, and yakak, but that's one of your words too. Well, it will be soon.
Weak verb.
It's a weak verb, but this is an odd one. This is an odd verb. The dogish in the cove and all that kind of stuff. Let's look under lamed, lakak. So this is one you just have to know because it does weird things, right? Lamed isn't usually a weak letter, is it? But in this word, you get the lamed dropping out all the time. You're only going to have to struggle with this a few times till you remember it. This one bites pretty hard, so you'll remember this one pretty quick. Because if you don't look it up under lamed, remember I told you the hardest part about Hebrew is figuring out what to look it up under? Once you look it up, you can probably find your form and you're good to go. But you got to know how to look it up. And so here, vocabulary is very important. So this is lakak. So do you find the form there? It's a cow. It's in 542. You can kind of zip down there and find the form.
First one under call, isn't it?
Like Genesis 2:15, it's given us, huh?
Is this the first one? Right after call? Perfect.
Yep. I'm with you.
Say that again now.
What verse are we in?
Right lane. 22.
Top of the page, end of the line, second line. In our Hebrew Bible. In BDB, we're on page 442, right-hand column, it says lakak. There's our verb. Means to take. Cow. If you look under cow, if you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines under cow, you see that line starts with Exodus 21:10, and then that next form is ours, isn't it? Genesis 2:15. Now that's not our verse, but that's our form.
22.
It's also used in Genesis 2:15, but it's the same form, right? So it means to take, right? Okay. So how are you going to translate that then? We have the yod for the 3ms and the reversing vav that makes it past, and he took. Okay, and he took. Achat. One construct, right? One of, or one mitzlaotai. All right. Well, I'm guessing the mem is going to be a prepositional prefix. Okay. So let's look up salah. Lamed mem nun samek ayin page sade. Salah. Okay, so Selah means a rib. Okay, so he took one from. Now, what is? I have mitz. That's from Salah O tithe. What's going on there? Why about the O tithe? Well, okay, because the rib is plural, so ot. That's a feminine plural, and the O tithe. I'm taking the second type of prepositional prefix because it's plural, right, on the end of that. So that's a 3ms pronominal suffix, right? I said that wrong a moment ago. It's a type 2 pronominal suffix because the word's plural. So that's a 3ms pronominal suffix. So from his ribs. One from his ribs. Okay. So God. So and he took. And now we're God, obviously. And he took one from his ribs, and Yisagor. Let's look that up. Well, let's save time, and I'll just tell you that means sagar means to close up. So how are you going to translate this? And he closed up. See, you're already getting the preterite 3ms thing right here, which I'm telling you the 3ms is probably the verbal form you're going to see more than any by far. And the preterite in narrative is one you're going to see a lot. You're getting it. The reversing vav and the 3ms form here, right? We're not even there yet, and you're getting it, right? By the time we get to these things, you're going to be, because we're going through the text of the Bible like we are, by the time we get to these things, you're going to be familiar enough that, you're going to go, don't I know you? And a lot of times you're going to be, yes, you do. So like this one, we know this stuff. Right? So, and he closed up Bashar. He closed up the flesh. Under it. Well, might not be the way we'd say it in English, but that's the way they said it here. So he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh under it. Right? All right. Now it gets exciting. Verse 22. Vayeven Adonai Elohim et Hatselah Asher Lachak Min Ha'adam La Isha Vayabiyaha El Ha'adam. Wow, this is getting exciting, isn't it? All right. Vayaven. What? Named? No. Nope. This happens to be another one of those hollow verbs. So, what is the vav? Reversing vav. What's the yod? The 3ms prefix on the imperfect and the preterite. All right. So let's start looking up under bait. Okay. Let's pretend we looked under bait noon, because that's what we have here, and we got no joy. Okay. Well, we found sun and stuff like that, but we didn't find a verb. So what am I going to do then? I'm going to start thinking. What could it be? 2 consonants, right? If I'm seeing 2 consonants in my verb, what am I thinking automatically? Hollow verb. Not that my head is hollow, but the verb is hollow, right? 2 consonants, probably a hollow verb.
Oh, I see. Instead of 3.
Because I don't have 3 consonants. So the middle one dropped out. What vowels are going to drop out? Probably a vav vowel or a yod vowel. So I could look up Bain vav. Do I see Bain vav like colon vav or shirk or something? Noon. I see booze, but I don't see a bait, holum or shurik noon. So my next guess is going to be bait yod. I think we're going to have some joy here, by the way. Bait yod noon. Okay, and so I'm looking. Actually, we have joy here in finding a verb, but we don't find the right one. All right. So now what are we going to do? Okay, well, let's see if something's dropped off of the end of it. So if something dropped off the end, I'm going to look up Beit Noon. Okay, I'm looking at Beit Noon now. And I find on page 124 a Beit Noon. A Beit Noon Hey. Remember how we said the hardest part of Hebrew is figuring out how to look up a word? Now on page 124 I find a Beit Noon Hey. It means to build. I'm kind of happy with that in the context. So I guess you could say Eve was built. You know? But I'm not sure yet. Because what I want to do, see, I need to find I want to find my form in here, right? Because I'm still at the point of guessing right now what that means. So if I can find my form here, I'm going to be happier. So I have at least a Yod Beit Noon with a Segol. Maybe I'll even find the preterite form with the Vav. So I'm going to check out Cal and see if I can find it.
4 lines down.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, under imperfect, Vayaven. And that's almost what I have. But that's the Jussive form. Notice we talked about the Jussive. That's the Jussive form. If I go down to the next line, I have, see how I have the Vav there with a Shavah under it? That's not exactly my form, is it?
Where do you have the Vav with the Shavah?
Under the 4 lines down, it says Jussive, and I get that. You see that there?
Yeah.
If I go down to the next line, I actually get Vayaven, and that's exactly my form, isn't it? And lo and behold, it says Genesis 2:22. So I'm not guessing anymore. I wasn't guessing anymore when I found my form, but I'm so totally not guessing anymore when I find the verse by it, right? Nailed it. Okay, so there it is. So it's from Banah. So what does this mean?
He built.
Okay, and he built. That's so amazing that Yahweh God built. Et ha selah. He built what? We just looked up that word. Huh? Remember the last verse? Mitzal Otiv, from his ribs. So, and the Lord God built the rib, Asher, which lakach. There's our word. We just looked that up. There's a lamed there this time. The lamed stays there in the perfect form, right? Which, this is Cal Perfect 3MS, isn't it? Vocabulary form. Which he took min from the man la isha. Well, he built the rib into a woman. Right? He built the rib which he took from the man into, and in English we want to use the preposition into instead of to, right? He built the rib which he took from the man into a woman.
What's the men with the ribs? Does that mean he took one of the ribs, or he took something that was within the ribs or from the ribs?
Say that again now?
Does it say he took a rib, like took a bone, or took something that was in there with the ribs or near the ribs? Or?
Well, he took from his ribs. I would say he took one of the ribs. Took one from the ribs. So he took one of the ribs. All right. So he,
Where I was curious is when you were talking about the spirit that was with Saul and the evil spirit that was with God. Is that the same? Is that men or is that different?
Oh yeah, you said from the.
Yeah, it was actually 2 prepositions, I think, in that verse.
Okay.
But one from the ribs. Ribs is plural, and he says he took one from the ribs. Now, if it just said he took from the ribs, or he took from a rib, or something like that might be open to interpretation. But when it says he took one from the ribs, plural, that's pretty clear. He took one of the ribs, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Different construction in that other passage. All right. And he built a woman. All right. Not, comma, kind of, right? All right. Now, vayivieha. Well, I already know the vav is the same thing I've been looking at. The preterite, the reversing vav. The yod is going to be the 3ms prefix.
What do you mean? Will you clarify that again? Reversing vav?
It just takes an imperfect form, which could be future, and makes it past tense.
Oh.
So it also means and. It's also connected. But it also,
It does two things.
It does two things in one.
There's
Exactly.
a pop back underneath, it's not the regular.
Well, that helps me. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, so
All right. Now let's look. We got to look that up. What are we going to look under? Bait. Okay, we're going to look at bait olive hay.
It's amazing how much energy this takes.
Huh?
Move these things.
Yeah. No joy. So what's going on here?
Well, here it's got Beit Olive Hay, and it's 872 on page 91, and it says v.sub. What page 99?
Okay, 92. We are at bait olive hay.
Page 91.
Okay, on page 91.
Right above Beit Olive Ray.
Sometimes they try to help us. I got you. Okay. So it says bait olive hay. C sub. That means a sub heading under. Bait vav olive. Bait colon vav olive. Okay. So let's look under bait vav olive and see if we get any joy. We're going to like it. Yeah, it would even give me my page number. So, all right. So I'm looking on page 99, and what do I see? Coming for to carry me home. Okay, well, so I have, this is a subheading of the verb bow, right, on page 97. This is going to be a main vocabulary word that you're going to learn if we don't already have it. Do we already have it today? I guess we don't already have it today. This is one you're going to learn soon, no doubt. Well, you're going to learn it now because it's not an uncommon word. It means to come or to go, bow. But this is a hollow verb. This is a weak verb, right? It's hollow. Now, bana was weak in the third consonant. This is weak in the second consonant, right? So I got help, right? Finally, BDB actually helped me, right? So instead of having to look too hard, on page 99, I'm either looking at a Hafil form of that or a Hifil form of that. I'm still not certain this is going to work out, right? So I want to find my form. Vayaven. All right. Whoops. I'm in the wrong place. We already did that. Vayavieha. All right. So I'm going to be looking. I'm going to be looking at the very beginning of page 99 right now.
Is it right next to number 2? First one after number 2 down kind of the bottom of the left column there.
Bottom of the left column.
To cause to come.
To cause to come. Okay, where's my form?
It's part of the going back to the difference.
I know, but I haven't found that form on the page yet.
Doesn't show it.
Well,
You just have the first.
I'm believing that's what it is, but I want to find my form just to.
Genesis 2:19 to 22.
Make an object.
Okay, if you look at the very bottom of page 98. Okay, well, there's Genesis 2:19. We already dealt with this verb. We've already had this verb, by the way, remember that. I'm starting to see forms that look like mine. Now, vayave, right? The suffix. Now, see suffix? Vayave ni. Now, the ni suffix is going to be first common singular, isn't it? Me. Or something like that. But all right, well, I'm not going to find my exact form here, but I find something very close to it. Right? I see vayave, and I can see that there are suffixes. And that's what I have here. I have a suffix. So I have a hifil, imperfect or preterite with suffix. Okay? So, how would you translate that? It's a hifil from bo. Bo means to come or go. So hifil is causative, typically. So, and he... And he... All right, what do you do with the suffix? That's going to be a third feminine singular suffix. So he caused her to come, or to put it in better English, and he brought her, right? El Ha'adam. It's getting kind of exciting, isn't it? God puts Adam to sleep. He sleeps. God takes the rib, and then he closes the place up, right? And then he builds, from the rib that he took from the man, he builds a woman. And then God brings her to the man.
I would like to see that.
She was a gift.
Huh?
She was a gift to him.
She was a gift.
Yeah.
All right. Now, verse 23. Vayomer. And he said, and here we have the express subject, Ha-Adam. And the man said, and now we have a quotation from Adam. Okay? Now, let's just backtrack for a second and remember what's happened, right? All the animals went in front of Adam, and there was not found a helper suitable for him. So now Adam's beginning to understand and feel what God knows to be true, that it is not good for him to remain alone. Right? Adam has surgery, wakes up, and for the first time, he's probably rubbing his eyes, right? And for the first time, he sees Eve. What does he say? Zot? We know that. This. Ha-ha'am.
Forearm. A ha is forearm.
No. This is ha. Well, the ha here is the definite article. Because I see ha with the dogish and the pei, right? So this is ha the pa'am. So if I'm going to look it up, I'm not going to look up ha pa'am because I don't want to look up the definite article. I want to look up pa'am. So let's look up pa'am. I want to know what Adam says. Right? Now let me tell you how it's normally translated. I don't like the way it's normally translated. It's normally translated in a way that's way too religious. Right? And the man said, "This is now." Right? Bone of my bone. Right? I cannot believe that Adam wakes up, sees Eve, and says, "This is now." Right? Well, let's just see. Let's look up pa'am. What do you find?
Still looking.
Is it
When's 323 now?
Huh?
trust?
Well, I wonder if we're going to have to look it up under the with the article on it.
Start playing in.
No, she was. Oh gosh, that's funny. No, that's not where we want to go with that.
You have to look it up on the
Oh, I hate it when we get lost.
222.
Okay, where do you see that?
822.
822.
That's very top. Praise the foot handle of 3 weeks.
Okay. All right. So yeah, that is our word then, but it's just one of the definitions of it.
Yeah, look at the bottom. There's.
Okay, where are you seeing our reference?
4 lines up from the bottom of it. Now what length?
Now at length. I don't like that translation either. I don't think he said now at length. Where are we at? D. Okay, there I see D. Ha-pa'am. Okay. This once.
Stop looking good.
Now at length. I wonder if the new BDB has changed because I'm not getting the same stuff I've got in the past here.
I don't know. I'm curious about the animal. She's getting brought up here.
Okay, look at the meaning of the word pa'am. Okay, it means a beat, a foot, an anvil, or an occurrence. It can mean a footstep. What I think the meaning of this word is here, and I'm not getting what I've seen before from BDB here, and I wonder if they've changed the entry or something like that. But what I think the thing means here, pa'am means an occurrence, among other things, an occurrence, a footstep.
Significant of an insight.
No, what I think it means is progress. I think what Adam said was, this is progress, essentially. Now, not exactly. But remember the context. He's been looking at all these animals, and he didn't find a helper suitable for him. When God shows him Eve, I think in a very excited way, he says, now this is progress. And I think the rest of the verse supports that. This is progress. Now I have etzem, bone from my bone. What do you have at the end of that word? We know that bone, the maim is the preposition, right? Bone from atzam my. Bone from my bones, right? And the suffix is first common singular, isn't it? Okay. And bashar, flesh, from my flesh. Now, lazot, literally for this, on account of this, for this reason, you might say. For this reason, all right. Isha, because remember the subject comes after the verb, right? We've seen this over and over. Isha, now I have kara, right? You see that? Because of time, I want you to take my word for something. See that dagish in the kof right there? That's the nifal, or that's the noon of the nifal. So now I have yekare. So that kind of a vowel pointing and a dagish in the first root letter tells you that's a nifal imperfect. Okay? For this reason, so kara is to call, right? How would you translate this? Nifal is what? Passive. So for this reason, she will be called Isha. Now, Ish is man. Isha is the feminine form of Ish, isn't it? She will be called Ish. Ki, because Meish, from man, Lukaka, think of something like a pual right there, right? The passive form of the intensive. Okay. From man, and it's got the feminine ending. From man, she was taken. From man, this one was taken. Right? Now, if you go down to 24, all Cain, therefore, Ya'azav, Ish, a man shall leave, Joseph, right? Third person imperative. A man shall leave et aviv, what would that be? His father, va'et imo, and his mother, okay, and va-davak, and he will cling to what? His wife. Okay. Va-hayu. What word do you think that's from? Haya. Remember, Haya is just weak and crazy all over the place, right? It starts with a weak letter. It's got yod in the middle, and it ends with a weak letter. So you're going to get lots of strange things happening with Haya, and that's exactly what you have right here. And they will be La Bashar Echad. They will be for one flesh. All right, and then to finish out 25, Vayeyu. What is that? Well, that's from Haya again, but now we're back to our whole reversing vowel preterite thing. Okay, and they were Shenehem to him. Third masculine singular. Wait. Plural, I meant, not singular, plural. Third masculine, plural. The two of them. Okay. So, and they were, the two of them, Arumim. Huh? Roomies? This is more than roomies here. They were naked. That's why we didn't get to see that. They were naked. Ha'adam, the man, Ha'ishto, and his woman, and his wife. All right. See? Who said that? Was that Carl? Okay. Yeah, well, don't blame this stuff on Hebrew if you get in trouble at home.
I can say that to my wife.
That's right. All right. Okay, so and the two of them were naked, the man and the woman. Now, how do I know the man and the woman goes with and the two of them were naked and the man and the woman with the rest of it? Well, let me ask that question when we translate the whole verse. No. Valo and not yit bo shashu. All right. Now we got to deal with that. But how are we going to look it up? What are you going to look up? Brilliant. Why? Yeah. What? In the imperfect, if you have a hit polel, or that's what this is, a hit polel, gave it away. But if you have a hit pile that we looked at, right? In the imperfect, the hey changes to a yod. Right? In the perfect, it'll be hit something. But in the imperfect, the hey changes to a yod. So the yod tav is part of the stem, the hit whatever stem, right? So we're going to look it up under bashash, and bashash turns out to be ashamed, right? And so in the hit polel, we're going to translate this to be ashamed, right? Now, there's kind of a reflexive idea to the word, to the idea of being ashamed, right? What is that? Is that active? Is that passive? What is it? Is it reflexive? It's just kind of an odd word, isn't it? To be ashamed. In English we say, I am ashamed of myself. So there's that reflexive idea in the idea of shame, right? So that's why we have this hit polel stem that is reflexive, right? So, and they were not ashamed. How do I know it isn't the man and his wife were not ashamed? But it is, and they were naked, and the two of them were naked, the man and the woman, comma, and they were not ashamed. How do I know it's that way? You understand what I'm saying? There are two ways I could translate this. Yeah, that's right. I could translate it, and the two of them were naked, comma, the man and his wife were not ashamed, period. Or I could translate it, and the two of them were naked, the man and his wife, comma, and they were not ashamed. How do I know the comma goes after man and his wife? In other words, how do I know that man and his wife goes with what comes before and not with what comes after? It's the atnak. See the atnak right there. It says, okay, break here. So see how the accent can help you with your translation? So we want to look for that atnak right there sometime. So the two of them were naked, the man and his wife, and they were not ashamed.
Quick question: since the atnak is added, how is there a way to know? I mean, again, because all these things are added after the fact.
Well, that's just like all the vowel points.
Right.
That's not part of the original text, and that's an interpretation. So you might want to say, well, I disagree with that atnak. I mean, you're allowed to disagree with the atnak. You're not allowed to just disagree pretty much with the concept.
So there's nothing else in there that would.
You'd have to have a pretty good reason for me to agree to disagree with the Masoretic scholars on the Hebrew text.
Okay, I understand that.
But your point is valid that
Is there something else in the sentence that leads us to interpret it that way, or is it we're trusting?
You make a good point that the accents are editorial, just as the punctuation in the Greek New Testament's editorial. Word order too could argue, because normally if it's the man and the woman we're not ashamed, that normally goes after the verb, right? But it would be possible to have it before. So you could argue that word order.
I was just curious if there was something else besides the.
Yeah, word order would help you, but in any case, it's just an odd thing because, and the two of them were naked, the man and the woman. I mean, that's just stuck there, right? It's just an odd construction to start with. So even to argue word order, you can say, well, it's odd either way. So that's not a definitive argument. So it doesn't change the meaning of it too much. If you go the other way, and the two of them were naked, and the man and the woman were not ashamed, it doesn't change the meaning a whole lot. But if I'm paying attention to the accents, at least I can say the Masoretes thought that went with the other side of it. Yes?
How do you get this concept of reading Father and Mother?
Bible? No, I don't know. That's a good question.
You read this first.
Is that a commentary? Because that's not part of the quote from Adam.
It's not what?
It's not part of the quote from Adam. So is that just adding that in?
It could be, yeah. Yeah, that may be Moses' commentary at that point. That would make sense, yeah.
And we had a conversation with God later on. God said, well, see, you don't need parents.
That's a good question. See, that's a good exegetical question right there. How does that? You know? Let me let you know. We're finished now, so we can turn the tape off. Let me let you know a couple of things.